Okay, Pennie, you're up at number 3. The Houston Rockets are selecting.
So Houston Rockets, and we kind of foreshadowed this a little bit. I'm going to go with Paolo Banchero here because Houston has Kevin Porter Jr., they have Jalen Green. Yes, they have Christian Wood. Don't know how that kind of shakes out. Despite the Alperen Şengün hive and a touch of the Usman Garuba hive, you could still use an additional big, and he's too high level of a guy to pass up. I know you drafted 2 in the first round a year ago, but I'd rather have him on top of what is existing on the roster as opposed to you already have Jalen Green and kind of like force feeding the Jaden Ivey thing. I think those roles are too similar. And Paolo, how he developed at 6'10" throughout the year during Duke, a top 5 kid coming out of high school and really dominated the high school circuit and the high school season during that COVID year. But at Duke, what impressed me was how his passing came along later in the year. He's always going to be a mid-post scorer and shot creator, the way he did that. But how his passing reads got better over time. The defense is still a little bit of a question, but he can always go and get you a bucket, and the three-point shot is going to get there. Detractors will say that's kind of like the hang-up a little bit, how he shot 34% from 3. He does have that hesitation. I'm not like overly worried about that. I think at Duke, the expectation level is really high, and he was the last man standing among lottery players in the Final Four, and he had a lot of good performances, which he racked up. There were instances and stretches where I thought defensively there were some bad switches here and there, but he also showed the good too. He showed you how he can get a bucket and clear out. He can face up. He has a lot of that kind of like Carmelo Anthony mid-range stuff where he can clear out a side, and that's an immediate translatable skill to the NBA. And I'll stick by this too. He's going to be my pick for Rookie of the Year because he's more of a finished product than Jabari Smith Jr. and Chet Holmgren. If you do a redraft in a year from now, you might take Paolo Banchero number 1 because day one he's going to score 15 points per game in the NBA because he's big, he's strong. It's just a more ahead of schedule than the 2 guys above him. Houston's got to be happy to get into the top 3 and get better on draft night with him.
So here's the reason that I really like this fit, particularly for Houston. I think that next to Jalen Green, who was phenomenal to close the year, like there's no question that he looks like the kind of guy that can average 25 points per game in the NBA as a shot creator, that efficiently knocks down threes, that does everything you're looking for in that regard. The thing that Jalen isn't great at right now is making passing reads and consistently making plays for his teammates. Paolo Banchero, I think, and I really genuinely mean this is a below average passing class in general. But Paolo Banchero, I think, has a case as the best passer in the lottery this year. Yeah. He is an exceptional passer. He makes the right read constantly for his teammates. He can throw live dribble looks to kickouts. He can throw live dribble dump off passes. He threw pocket passes to Mark Williams regularly this year. He is an incredible passer, and I really like that offensive fit. The 2-man game between Jalen Green and Paolo Banchero could be really, really lethal, I think, for the Houston Rockets moving forward. You're going to have to figure out the defense, and I think there are a number of reasons that you have to figure out the defense. I don't really like Jalen Green or Paolo Banchero on the defensive end, but I would rather find defenders than try to find elite offensive talent. And I do think that a Banchero, Jalen Green core does give Houston real upside in terms of elite offensive talent.
Yeah, and offensively, it will be worth the price of admission for sure. I think they'll play fast. I feel like a new head coach. We have great culture. We're gonna play fast, shoot a lot of threes, get up and down. But you're able to do that. And Paolo is malleable in a sense where he kind of plays like a 4-3, and at times it's a 3-4. And the defense, I don't want him on the wing guarding threes, but offensively, you can do different sets, and you can still play him on the floor at the same time as Alperen Şengün and maybe Christian Wood in stretches if you want to get really big out there, sort of like Milwaukee did against the Celtics, where they had Portis, Lopez, Giannis at times. So the NBA is kind of changing and evolving, and Houston did leave on a good high note to end the regular season, despite ending up here in the lottery. This was also a good win for Paolo for a team that could use him ending up 3rd overall.
And at the end of the day, here's the thing on Alperen Şengün, and this will be the last thing I say about Houston, and we can move on to my pick for Sacramento. I don't think you can consider Alperen Şengün within this pick. I think that if you're Houston, you need the absolute best talent that you can find. It's a good problem to have if both Alperen Şengün and Paolo Banchero are great. But what we saw defensively this year from Alperen Şengün gives me real questions about what kind of impact he can have in a playoff setting. For as good as he is offensively, and I think he is genuinely really, really good offensively, I worry about him in a playoff setting defensively. So if I'm Houston, I take the guy that I evaluate best. And for me and you, it's Paolo Banchero. Okay,